Hello everyone, this is Eugene with HoustonMotorizedBicycles.com. Hey, watch this video. I'll show you how I make this spiffy looking rat bobber. We're going to take a brand new beach cruiser, El Cheapo Deluxe Huffy Cranbrook, and we're going to make something just like this out of it here. Stay tuned, watch it. Hey, if you want to buy one, check out the website HoustonMotorizedBicycles.com. And you know what? If you want to build one, well, just pay attention. If you got some metal cutting tools, the ability to do some welding or brazing. All right, so here we go. We're starting with your basic Cranbrook frame. It's a brand new frame. And just the other day, this frame here was brand new, just like that one. What I did is I took some paint stripper, this stuff right here, put that on it, let it sit for about 30 minutes, put it on nice and thick. Then I hit it with a wire brush, got most of it off, and then I came back with my oxygen acetylene torch and I hit it with the flame. And that burned a lot of stuff off. What I'm looking for here is ratty, old, and ugly. Here's where the clamp of my my bike frame, the work stand, had a hold of it, and I'm going to put another gas tank over here, so we're not going to see that. What I'm going to do is go back and possibly even hit it with some water. Then what I'm going to do is hit it with some spray paint while it still has water on it, and then take a rag, take a shop towel, shop rag, good old red shop rag, got on the floor there, and just wipe over it here. We're just going to put some different colors on it. Want to make it look like a rusted out, very distressed frame. I've also got a piece of this 3/4 inch tubing here that I'm going to put in here, and that's going to help strengthen the frame a little bit here. So I figure we're going to have this here, and then we're going to have the motor mount on it, and that's going to help stiffen up the frame. I wouldn't recommend just popping a motor on it and go. We're putting a 4-stroke on this one here, so I'm limited as to how far down I can go. I'm going to have to get that 3/4 inch tubing all the way up against this here in order to get the motor to fit. It's going to be a real tight fit, but it's going to work. And then I'm going to put an old style Columbia Springer front end on it, and it's going to look something like this bike right here. If you want me to make one for you, check out the website, HoustonMotorizedBicycles.com, or hey, follow along, and you can build your own here too if you're any good with a torch. I had to be real careful when I cut this piece off here, this tubing here. You've got a weld here, and then you've got a weld underneath here. My finger's touching the weld here. And that's on both pieces here, and then of course it was subbed in, welded here. So when you cut here, you want to be real careful that you don't cut in to this top piece here. If you cut into the top bar, you're going to really damage the integrity of the bike. You don't want to do that. You don't want to nick it, scratch it much at all. And here where it's welded in, I came in at the side. I used my good old high-speed tool here, but the first thing I did, you want to be real careful when you're cutting this off, this support piece here off of the bike. You do not ever want to use a cutting disc on the angle grinder to do your first cut, because as soon as you cut the piece, these here have a lot of tension on it. They take it and they bend it down and they weld it in place. It's held in place in a jig, and there's a lot of tension on it. And if you cut through it, the piece is going to spring and pop, and that will shatter your cutting disc, and you're going to have a bad time. You do not want to be anywhere near it if that cutting disc was to shatter. So what I did is I got my reciprocating saw here, my Sawzall thing, and I cut it first. I just cut each one of these tubes here in the middle here. So basically what I did is I cut it here and here to relieve the stress, and as soon as I cut it, they popped. I mean, they moved about a 1/2 inch. You could tell that it was had a lot of tension on it. And then you've got your first weld here, and then there's another weld. You can even see this one here where they weld it in. They kind of are a little loose with where they do it, but they do it more or less in this area here. So you want to be careful not to cut into the top piece and of course this piece here. So what I did is I came here and I cut it here after I cut this here to relieve the tension. I came in with my cutting disc, I cut it, and then I used a flap disc, a grinding disc, and I ground off this weld here. And you want to be real careful not to cut into the main part of this tubing here. Just barely get into that, and just enough to knock the weld off. So in order to get the rat bobber look, get an old vintage look here, I went on eBay, bought a vintage bike seat. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this piece right here, and I'm going to take the seat tube and fabricate a piece. And we're going to have this sitting right about there on the ass end of the bike. This way we're going to get the seat back and down. I'm going to, of course, mount the wheel and make sure that the wheel doesn't rub here, and get this kind of close to the wheel. That way we've got the ass end of it down. I'm going to cut me with my plasma cutter a piece. We're going to weld in a piece here, and then we're going to stub in a little bit of the seat post for our seat. And then you can get on eBay, find you some old moped tanks. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these pieces off here, and then I'm going to weld in, braze in another piece here, and put me a stud here on the frame where we're going to bolt it down here, and I'm with the tab here in a hole, and then we'll put a nut there that'll hold it here. And then I've got this piece right here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut me a short piece of this right here, about that long, just enough to fit inside this tunnel here, and I'm going to braze it onto the frame. I'm going to braze it onto the frame here, and I'm going to drill me 2 holes here, and then put a bolt through it, and that's going to hold that in place. So that's how we're going to affix mount the gas tank to the frame. Okay, so here I am putting the paint stripper on the gas tank. I had to put 2 applications on it, but as well, you can see how I'm putting it on. I'm not painting it on, I'm more just dabbing it on. I found with this paint stripper, typically it works better just dabbing it on and kind of pushing it into the paint rather than smearing and brushing it on like you were painting it. Don't know why, but hey, it works that way. You're going to put your paint stripper on it and let it sit for about a good 20-30 minutes. You can see this right here, the red paint just came right off instantly, but I want to go ahead and let it sit for a bit. There's a black coat of paint underneath the red coat, and we want to slowly get the paint stripper to work on that. You may have to go a second application like I did. I went through 2 applications. In between, I used the wire brush, gave it a good scrubbing with the wire brush, as you see here. And next up, power tools. Now, you want to be careful with your power tools here. You don't want to be grinding into the metal and thinning up your metal and make a risk for it leaking, so you do want to be careful there, boys and girls. Now, I hit this tank with some water, and then you see me hitting it with some black paint, then some red paint, gray paint. Play with it, have fun, hit it again with some paint stripper if you want. Hey, this is your gas tank. Make it look the way you want to. I like the water. The water kind of covers it and beads up on it, and then I hit it again, then I'll hit it with the rag, then I'll hit it with sandpaper. And just play with multiple layers of it, and you're going to get some cool effects. As you can see, I've got a pretty cool looking tank here, scuffing it up. Then I'm going to come back and put some water on it and salt, and let the salt somewhat rust it. Okay, so after a little bit of play, fun and games and paint, this is what we got here. I went ahead and brazed on a very short bolt onto the top of the upper tube there. I went ahead and brazed on a bracket. Actually, it was a bracket that I cut off the tank. You can also see that I brazed on a small piece of steel tubing on the front. and pop me 2 holes into the front of the front part of the gas tank there. That's where we're going to put a bolt through. Next up, I need to cut my seat post and go ahead and weld in a plate here where I'm going to put in a short stub for the seat. Hey, I want to thank each and every one of you for watching. HoustonMotorizedBicycles.com. If you don't feel like building one, you can buy one from me, or hey, watch along. I'll show you how I do it. Thanks for watching. Y'all come back now, you hear? Oh, hey, thumbs up if you like it. Click subscribe. Take care.